another group of people who would be the conscious, aware scientists
That's
who
right.
study physical, non-physical simultaneously.
It's going to come from
Um,
them. Yep.
it is, and they're going to flip the switch, drop the old thing where, now if you see
It's going to
people
come
reading,
inside. Yeah.
exactly. And so once that drops, they're going to sort of be bored with the not able to be focused and then get really excited and repurposed by looking at the things they desire and the things that drive them to purpose and connection to non-physical.
Oh, I'm so
And
glad you said that because I've been saying for a while this is going to come from the scientists and the engineers and the people inside, the creatives that are inside that are going to rise up. Welcome to Business Game Changers. I'm Sarah Westall, and I have Eddie Connor back for our Thrive Hour. And we're going into a different discussion tonight. I did a thesis. I'm working on a thesis for a book that I want to write. And I gave it to him, and we've been spending the last couple of weeks going back and forth over it. And this is going to be kind of flushing out some of that thesis that I wrote about what's important for humanity as we move forward and combining science and Christianity and, the science of materialism, how that's ending and where we need to go to handle this whole AI convergence. I think there's AI converging at the same time that's forcing this converging of spirituality and science and our new knowledge of quantum physics and consciousness and so many things that are happening that is forcing this convergence, which will be better for humanity in the long run, but it's going to be really challenging over these next few years as we work all this out. And he's tying it back to old civilizations and how he believes that there were many different civilizations that went through this process and almost all of them have failed. And this time we're not going to. I think the crux of why we're not going to is what we're going to be talking about today. It's a beginning of that conversation. And I hope many more people engage in these type of conversations and bring these ideas forward. But this is my attempt to have it with Eddie, and it's part of the Thrive Hour. How are we going to thrive and make it in this new age of humanity? And it's a pretty big question. It's a pretty big discussion. And I hope you're in it with me tonight. Before we get into this, though, I want to remind you that I have a webinar that's airing on June 10th. It's the Deep Dive Peptide with Dr. Diane Kaiser. It's going to be 4 p.m. Central Time. You can go to sarahwestall.com/peptides. Sign up for that and put in your questions because we're going to do a question and answer. If you sign up, you will also get the link on how to join. It's 4 p.m. Central Time. I said that it's going to be airing on Substack. I'm really going to be doing it a little differently because I haven't figured out quite how to use Substack in that way. But if you signed up for Substack, you certainly will get notification of it. But you do have to sign up at sarahwestall.com/peptides. If you have questions, put your questions into that form. And also, you will get the link on when to join. It'll be live. We're going to try to answer all those questions. And there's been so many people that have reached out since I've been promoting peptides on details and questions. And so this is your opportunity to get some of your questions answered. And I hope you join us. Again, it's June 10th at 4 p.m. Central Time. Go to sarahwestall.com/peptides to sign up for that. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. It's free. Okay, let's get into this really dynamic conversation that I have with my friend, Eddie Connor. Hi, Eddie. Welcome back to the program.
hi, hi, hi.
We've been talking for a week on coming up with, I gave you a thesis for a book that I want to write. And we've been kind of going back and forth over the week on how we want to talk about it today. And I think it's a profound concept that we need to talk about right now. And it's really the merging and the bringing together. AI is forcing this, I think, and kind of human development, that the internet, just kind of where we're going, is forcing this collision spirituality, artificial intelligence, a different religion, just everything, alternative history, everything is coming together. But it's forcing us to rebalance and structuralize and contextualize who we are and what we value.
Yes. Yep. And so with that, I sent you a quote that I love, and it's a couple of quotes. Are you familiar with Abraham Hicks?
No, I'm not. Maybe I should be.
Esther Hicks, they call her Esther Ham because she channels Abraham. And for your audience who may not know, Esther Hicks has been doing this for decades. She is a trance channel of 100 non-physical beings known as Abraham. Oh. So her last name is Hicks, so it's Abraham Hicks. And she travels all over the world. And then there are people who come and sit on the hot seat and ask questions about everyday life. And somebody said to her when Abraham was speaking, and the person's a little irritated and said, "So you just want me to literally ignore reality?" And Abraham says, "Yes, because you cannot create reality while you are observing reality. Because when you observe reality, you regurgitate the reality you're observing." And that is so indicative of where we're at right now. And that to me is sort of a spinoff of AI, artificial intelligence, which I think of often as artificial regurgitation.
Yeah, because it's just a regurgitation of everything we know. It's not new.
Exactly. And then Sapphire Sky official on Instagram, she says, "Your energy is worth more than any material matter. Your energy is your currency in this world and in the universe. The greatest gifts you give to another is your thoughts, your intentions, and your energetic love. Use your energy to bless your loved ones." And the core essence of everything a human is its non-physical matter. It is literally the soul, the animation parts of it, the non-physical, pure positive energy that creates worlds, as Abraham would say. And it's that inner light, that God force, whatever you choose to call it. With AI coming in as fast and furious as it is, which has happened many times on the earth plane before, and it was the beginning of the cataclysms in Atlantis and Lemuria and Tartaria and different other civilizations, it's coming back. I think the difference this time is we're going to stay more true to our God self, our soul, because that fifth dimensional frequency has been coming into the earth plane since 2020. And once it's fully integrated, what the energy, the vibration, the frequency will get more high, more fast, and more pure, which is literally now already vibrating out physical and non-physical beings on earth that want nothing but to continue to tear the earth apart, meaning humanity apart, keep them divided. And so even at the risk of sounding a little woo-woo esoteric here and like, oh my God, he's a weirdo psychic.
Yeah, they will. I mean, come on, that's part of our
way it's going to be. The low-grade off-planet entities that have been here for millennia are leaving. They have been for a while.
Because they can't be here. If our vibration and our love grows, then they can't stand it and they have to leave.
Yep. A connection to source. If I'm sitting in a room by myself and I am just feeling good for the joy of feeling good, that is powerful in and of itself. But if two people, as the Bible says, when two or more are gathered in thy name, and the energy is up here and we're connecting up here, then the energy becomes exponential. And they cannot touch that level of connected frequency. It's too high, it's too fast, it's too pure. It's the God molecule, if you will. And they cannot be in that level of purity. It's almost like a vampire stepping into the sun. And so they've been leaving in mass exodus. There's still a handful of them here, as it were, both physical and non-physical, because a lot of them have the ability to dematerialize, rematerialize, multidimensional jump. But the fifth dimension, which is just another word for heaven, which is expanded consciousness, is so strong on the earth plane right now. It's driving out things that disconnect and bringing in things that unite. It's driving out anything that feels like hate and division, and it's bringing in connection and love and oneness. So they don't know what to do with themselves but jump back onto their little ships and get the F out of here.
And then that'll help us become more and more. So the remote viewing team, I've been studying remote viewing. It's actually going on over a year and a half, almost 2 years now, right? And the reason I decided to study it is, well, I knew I was getting things that were helping me with my journalism, and I'd just be on it like before it made sense and right at the right time, too many times. So, okay, this is all coming. And then I'd get a feeling that I had to do something. I'm like, where is this coming from? When it happened over and over and over again, I knew that there's something to it. I have to, and I said this to Daz, I'm like, this is why I'm doing this, because of this, and I have to make sense of it. And the more I study it, the more I'm realizing, well, it's not quite what I thought it was, for one thing. And because I realize that it's a study of myself, right? And really understanding myself and really learning how to, it's almost therapy where you have to really calm down, and it's different than you are so gifted, right? You're different. You were born with this gift, and everybody has the gift, but a lot of it is just completely undeveloped and not there. And as I was doing this work, and I'd get different people on, or get you on even, there was so many negative comments that were coming in from Christians, if you will, that were so hateful on this. And so I started really thinking about this over the last 6 months. And I said, you know what? I think they're interpreting it all wrong. I think this is all wrong. And the more I understand science, because I have a science background, and I've done a lot and research, and I even did a 10-part series with Brighteon University on mind control and fifth generation warfare and how they can use this to control us. And also frequency weapons, how they can actually implant thoughts in us. And if there's more advanced beings, they can do that too. I'm starting to think, and I've been thinking this for a while, that when Jesus said, test the spirits, this is something different. Meaning that if we don't develop this ability and have a discernment, we are really easy to be manipulated. What do you think of all that?
I think you're 100% spot on. I'm going to start at the top with your being guided by something bigger than your earthly personality to step into remote viewing to get a greater awareness, a stronger perspective, even more well-rounded than you already are, into the remote viewing to understand to the best and highest of your ability what makes this planet tick, why humans are who they are, how we got where we're at. And so you had to take in that class, I'm assuming, because I've never taken a remote viewing class, you have to take everything outside of your brain that you've been programmed to believe, and then get still and empty this out so you can receive in a discerning way the information you're getting based on that blank envelope you're holding in your hand. And so when you told me that, when you were speaking, it showed me you have in a very developed intuitive intellect. And so your intuition and your intellect are married beautifully together. There's that infinity, that 8, right? And the 8 is indicative of heaven and earth too, by the way. So they're saying when you were doing the remote viewing, you go right into intuitive intellect with a clean slate, and you center yourself and you go deep and high simultaneously. And you have to do that to gather the information you are sent in to gather. Then they're saying with the intuitive intellect, simultaneously her going deep and going high, she brings it all back to center here and here, the heart, mind, the gut, brain, and your intuitive intellect. And then you focus the energy here. They're saying, and also in doing that, you're pulling through multi-dimensions, timelines, etc., and so forth, and you're bringing it back to center again. And when we talk about being discerning and paying attention to what people are saying, that essence that you are when you're remote viewing, that essence that you are in a conversation like this, that essence that you are when you go do deep dives and try to understand greater awareness so that you can be of service to humanity. When I'm discerning, bringing it back around, when I'm discerning, I just pay attention to how I feel, not just in my thoughts up here, but how I feel in my heart, mind, and gut brain. The Greeks thought the brain was the heart.
Yeah.
And I actually think it probably is. Your gut brain is your soul's brain. The heart mind, I think, is actually the brain. And this is obviously important too, because you have the Holy Trinity in all three of it. Threes are powerful, as you well know. Three. And so being discerning for me means, how does it feel when I'm hearing them speak? How do I feel when I pick up their feelings? How do I feel when I'm tuning into their attitudes, their emotions, their intentions? What is it they want me to think versus what I think I think? And so the minute they contradict anything, I know either by default, innocently, or deliberately, there's an agenda. Anytime there's a contradiction in the message, you have to go, is it they're innocent, not knowing, or are they deliberately trying to pull the wool over my eyes? And by the way, I'm 65. It took me this effing long to get to that. Yeah.
It's a challenge. It's really subtle and it's a lot of work. And there's a lot of ways to get it. But I think that the more I'm looking at this, the more I realize, oh my God, if you don't develop these skills, then you are a sitting duck.
Listen, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're hitting the nail on the head. They said you cannot acquire that skill if you don't have the desire for it. If you don't have a pure desire to pull that skill into you, it's not going to go anywhere. You will be a sitting duck, but your desire is so pure. So what's at the root of your desire? It is to gather data and information to give to the masses so they are not sitting ducks. And the people that are going to be the sitting ducks, bless their hearts, are going to be the people programmed with aspects of religion, where there was somebody in that pulpit that has an agenda. Their fruits are not pure, their spirit's not pure, but they're very charismatic and charming.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the people who, like, they came after me and they're like, you can't be Christian, you can't believe in Christ and be gay. You can't, there's no psychics in the Bible. Are you stupid?
I think there's psychics all over the Bible. It's just a different word.
Yes, and Jesus, everybody in that timeline operated off of the intuitive intellect, the deep and the high at the same time, connected to that inner God consciousness consistently. They were all intuitive. It was like oxygen to them. A lot of them were telepathic.
It was all of it. And if you just read what Jesus wrote, he's telling you to work on it. And it's not, it's a different language. And so people just look at it differently, and when they say stay away from it, they're telling you to stay away from the false information and to get discernment over that. That's what that's about. But if you don't learn how to get that discernment, that's one of the skills humanity needs the most, because they have the ability now to artificially do it to you. Humans do now. I don't know how long, if there's other beings, how long have they had the ability to do it?
Oh, for millennia. Have you seen the video of Bill Gates in the 80s in front of a group of high-ranking congressional officials, senators, et cetera, and so forth, and military, saying we now have the technology to send this energy right at this person. And let's say they're a religious zealot, you can you can hit them with this bang or put this chip in them and flip a switch, and they will be the opposite of what they think they are.
That's
and
right.
then we can take over their country. And before he got that sentence out of his mouth, every one of them, all what I'm going to call NPCs, micro penis controllers, their arms went up, their hands went up, and they all started barking out loud, like, me first, me first. I want my people to have it first. And he was like, little Miss Bill Gates, calm down, let me. And I was like, that was in the 80s. That was in the
It's
80s.
been decades. They've had this ability for decades. And so if you don't develop that discernment, and I think that's what the warning was. And now think of if you really wanted to control people, you would place on them the idea that the opposite was true. Do not develop the skill set, because if you don't develop the skill set, now we really can control you.
And despite how many times the Bible has been rewritten by atheists and people who don't believe in any of it, who had a hidden agenda, even all of those rewrites later, where they took this much of the Bible and gave us the meat scraps from it later, even in that contaminated, polluted message of control, you can't connect to God, you got to go through the priest. You can't connect to God, you got to go through the nun. Even with all of that polluted messaging, the truth, the pure truth, love thy neighbor, God is within, is so still profound, because it's not a physical truth. It is a non-physical truth that lives in the physical body. I know the body is 0.01% physical. The action, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the physical assertion we put into this planet on a daily basis creates less than 1% of our lives. How we think and feel and vibrate while we're doing it creates 99.99.99% of our realities on earth. We were taught backwards. Everything the oligarchy taught us is all the opposite of the truth. So you have to work this hard to make this much money. And we bought into that system proudly because we're good people, we're hard workers, and we're connecting to the community and building the community up. As they're destroying the community simultaneously. And the truth is, this is another truth. We're here. The thing we want is here. We've been taught that you have to bust your butt, 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 bust your butt to get to it. And then it moves, or somebody else takes it before you. That's the opposite of how we create reality on this planet. How we create reality is we're here. The thing we want is here. We achieve harmony with it from down here. And then it starts pulsating, vibrating, emanating, and then harmonizing with who you are. Anything we want comes to us. We never go to it. We've been taught to chase things to make the quality of our life better by working this much physically to get this much back. When the truth is, if we sit still and feel good for the joy of feeling good, and then harness, direct, have an intention with our thoughts, our feelings, and our frequencies. And then you throw in that desire you had earlier, we were speaking about. Once your desire gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, the thing you want comes to you faster and faster and faster, to prove that everything we've been taught is a lie. Everything we've been taught is a lie. And we are so programmed to believe the lie that the sleepers, the sheep, the sleeples will jump up and go, no, 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 because they somehow think we're negatively affecting the quality of their life while trying to help them not be a victim to what's coming.
just a short break from the program to share with you an amazing peptide to help you lose weight. It's stronger than Ozempic. And why? It's because it not only reduces your appetite, but it also burns fat. These other GLP-1s on the market, they do not burn fat. They just reduce your appetite. This one, retatrutide, is stronger. It's considered a next generation peptide because of that. And man, does this work. I've been using it for 2.5 weeks and I've already lost 11 pounds, and I cut my dose in half because I was losing weight too quickly. And that kind of freaked me out, to be honest. And so I also am taking this 5-amino 1-MQ in capsule form. This helps by making sure that you lose fat, not muscle. And so in conjunction, I'm using both of these. This will work whether you have this or not. And I am telling you, it's amazing. If you are interested in getting this, I have the link below, or you can go to sarahwestall.com under shop. You can use the coupon code Sarah to save 10%. If you have questions about your own use, you should either consult your doctor or you can join Dr. Diane's tribe. And I have a link below to that. It is only $1 for the first week. You can ask her any question you want and get all your answers to this, how to take an injectable. And there shouldn't be any fear in doing that. It is easy and straightforward. Go to sarahwestall.com under shop or use the link below. And remember to use coupon code Sarah. There is that. That's why I had to talk about, okay, so if you're passionate and you love something, then you automatically develop the discipline to become good at. Discipline matters, but it's a passion. It should be a passion, and it comes from loving what you're doing, and then you learn how to be disciplined, right? And I've said to our mutual friend Stacy that I'm like, the things that I really want sometimes don't happen, but other times things that there's no way I'm that good just comes to me. And I think that's what you're talking about here, right? Like so now I've come to just like, okay, you can't not work hard. You have to be ready for it and prepared for it, but yes, it comes to you and you're prepared for it when it comes to you.
And when you have a desire for it and you have a passion, the discipline is built into the desire.
Yeah.
The discipline is built into the desire, the passion, the purpose. They're all similar but different. And there's a discipline in every one of them that all sing to each other when you start heading toward the thing your heart is wanting you to have. Sometimes you don't even know why you want it. You don't know why you want to be of service. You don't know why you're jumping into a remote viewing class. You don't know why you're sitting in Mediumship 101 in Los Angeles in 1996 going, what the fuck am I doing here?
That's exactly right.
Yes. And so when you're in that desire place, purpose-driven place, connection place, then things will just organically come to you. The left brain, we've been taught to believe that if we can't make sense of it logically, to let it go. Artists are not valued. Creators are not valued. Singers, actors, musicians, only a small 1% of them are considered valued. Everybody else is considered wasting their time, get a real job, get a life. Because they know that top 1% who controls everything, they know if every artist followed their passion purely and connected to it, they would have been off this planet 2,000 years ago.
Well, and the people who are genuinely following their passion would probably be the ones who naturally would rise to more public, acclaim, because it's just not naturally happening right now, right? I mean, certain people are chosen based on other reason, but you got to go after your desire. I don't, being an artist, people who go after that simply because they want fame is the wrong reason. If that's your reason, then you're not going to get it.
And just a little side note on that is the reason they're going after it for the fame, the recognition, and the money is because they've been programmed to do it. They've been programmed to believe they cannot have happiness, which is what they think the fame and the money is going to bring them.
Yeah.
They can't have that unless they become this. And they can't become this unless they have that. And so, what's that quote say? You cannot create reality by looking at the existing reality. You can only create more of the same thing you're looking at over and over and over, which is the definition of insanity.
Yes, it is. Well, and then let's look at a couple other fields. I think that, I've been trying to make the thesis that AI is going to cause us, this convergence, cause us to value things that and this is Jack McCollum, who's come on my show, Dr. Jack. He got me thinking in this direction, but I'm thinking about it also from the spiritual direction and consciousness and other elements. But human touch, human interaction, let's look at the medical field, for example. What's going to be valued are going to be nurses and people who work with humans, and that energy that's going to move between people that help you heal or go to the next dimension. Like when my mother died, the nurses that were helping her were like angels. I mean, I was just, it was profound seeing these people. But on the other end of the spectrum are the researchers. They're not as valued either. They're the ones hidden, not valued. People take their research, the patents go to these large corporations. Nobody values these people who are the ones who are making a massive difference for society. Those two ends of the spectrum are not valued. But in reality, those are the ends of the spectrum that should be the most valued.
And that's been the way history has rolled, right? There's always a small handful that will come in and take over anything that's working for humanity to keep humanity well, happy, connected, and in like with themselves and in love with themselves and in love with other people and the community. What did Rockefeller do? He came in and bought every holistic school in the country, every single one of them, and within 3 years shut them all down simultaneously, just as he was rolling out pharmaceutical petroleum products, just as he had already for 5 years put millions of dollars into every medical university in the United States and said, I will keep giving you this money if you only teach this. And they bought it. And so
Bought it.
And generation after generation. So you're right. Where we're headed back to, which is why I feel like that top 1% is desperately trying to keep us separate from it, is continued human connection, which is really soul to soul connection in a human. Thank you. They're saying that right now, this conversation, we're both here, we're both connected, we're both aligned, we're both consistently recalibrating based on each thing we're saying. So it's like this fun game. It's a ramping game, if you will. They're saying is creating a grid of light that's going out into the world. And even right now, nobody's hearing this but you and me. There's people that are like, I wonder about this and what about that? And I wonder what happened here. And I wonder how I can feel better here. And I wonder why I'm having resistance there instead of pure desire there. Every one of those people will go blip, 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 ding, 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 and start tuning into information like this, because when two or more are gathered in thy name, the pure positive energy that is in us, that is purpose driven, which is a form of continued human soul connection that is purpose driven, intentional, meaning we're not on autopilot. We are literally deliberately wanting to learn more on how to stay grounded and connected regardless of the shit show that's flying around us. And that intention and that desire and that deliberate conscious effort being put out there is going to draw more and more and more and more people who are just waking up, very awake and awake. And so every little thing like this where there's human connection that they could easily destroy earlier is harder and harder to dismantle now, more harder now than ever before.
Julie Asher came on to talk about her son, and he is this amazing, he has extreme autism. But he can see the future, or he can, I don't know, he can read minds, he can compose music, he knows all these languages, he can recite the Bible. his view is that we only have you probably aren't one that is like this, but the average human only has about access to 4% of the sensory data that's coming in. And he has we don't know, they say that he has all of it, but I don't know if he has all of it or not, but he has a lot more than the average human. And because of that, he's able to do these amazing things. And that is the science. And they're all studied. He's the most studied right now because of that. And that is the science of this area that we're missing, and that humans actually have so much more capacity. I believe you were born with the ability to see more sensory data, more than the average human, and you're tapping into that and you're turning it into a gift that you're sharing with others. I think we're on the edge, the cusp of science understanding this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
go ahead, speak to some of that.
Oh, you're so. I'm not familiar with him now. I'm going to check it out. And how old is this child?
He's like 25.
Okay, and he's been this way his whole life.
Yes. And he
So,
just started about 4 years. Julie went on a show on Christmas Day. I think she went on the Rogan show, and it was not the Rogan show. She went on the Telepathy Files. And it was the most popular show in the world on podcasts on Christmas Day. It bypassed Rogan, it bypassed every single podcast because people were just so enamored. She came on my show and we talked about it. And what I think makes that story so amazing is that it's the science, and we have very serious scientists now that are saying, wait a minute, there's something real here. And that real here is the sensory data coming in. And he's saying that, and she's saying that what we thought Christianity was, and they're very spiritual.
yep.
We're not interpreting it fully because we can't. We only have 4%, and then we're misinterpreting so much of it. So I think what we're talking about here is the beginning of reinterpreting what all this really means and
Yeah.
how we can use it to actually move forward and start looking at it from a different perspective, and stop being afraid of all those people that talk to us like it's evil, or it's
Yeah.
not real, or it's quackery, or it's woo woo. It's like, no, there's too much evidence now. Houston is his name. I was having a hard time remembering his name. Out of respect, his name is Houston. But it was we're on the cusp of getting enough scientific validation that to say, open the gates, open the floodgates, and humanity can go forward. It's no longer taboo. It's no longer a joke. It's real. And you have the permission to go and learn this and not be a joke and a laughing stock to society, because this is very real and it's very important for human development.
Yes. As you're saying this, they told me that science, not all of it, but most of it, especially like the last 100+ years, replaced spirit in us. And religion not only replaced our personal connection to God, soul, etc., within us, it made it evil if you had a direct connection to God. It's so funny, that movie Saint Bernadette just popped in my mind, where she had an authentic connection and Mother Superior just let her have it because the Mother Superior hadn't had that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And here's this innocent young lady who did have it, and the entire convent turned on her.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end of it, you see the Mother Superior, because Bernadette had something wrong with her legs, the Mother Superior carried her through the convent to get her to the chapel that morning. So you can see the perspective change. Now, most people don't shift their perspective unless they have a direct experience. What Houston is, this young man and his mom are leading edgers who came to the earth plane that are giving people a new pure experience, both high and low, intuitive intellect, with pure desire, a purpose driven, non agenda. I am just me. I think this is who we all used to be before science watered it down and before church came in and disconnected you from spirit. And then if you were highly intuitive, if you could heal people with herbs from out in the woods, if you could midwife a young mother, then we have to nip all of that in the bud now and make you all crazy and make the church and everybody we program to go after you for us. And so what's happening now, circling back around to the top part of this conversation, is he is showing us what we always were, period. And he's showing us what we already are once we let go of the resistance and the shackles of the old belief systems that kept us from it. He is also living proof of what we have access to if we let it in. And he's giving people an experience that blows their mind open, that blows their heart open. What day did this happen, this podcast? On Christmas Eve?
Christmas Day.
Well, that's even better.
Yeah, it was Christmas Day, and it exploded, #1 in the world. And I think that this isn't saying that Christianity, this isn't an anti-Christianity, this isn't anti-science. This is a more richer interpretation of the two.
The way it used to be before the Bible was rewritten and rewritten and rewritten, and the way it used to be before a small group of those micro penis controllers got their hands on everything and put people like Einstein into place so that we never knew the ether was there for us to have free energy.
Yeah, yes. And that science is an explanation of what is. It's not decoupled from spirituality. It's an explanation of what is.
I get so excited when we have these conversations because science will only, as you said, focus on the physical. If you can't see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, it's not real. Yeah. And they know better than anybody else that the human body is less than 0.01% of what it actually is. So they kept us in this little free range slavery cage so that we would just believe it generation after generation after generation. I was born in 1961. My grandma, my mother's mother, I'm psychic, she's psychic, and her mother's psychic. And on my other side, my dad's mother and grandmother did spells and herbs out in the woods, and I mean, remedies. And I remember grandma asking me to walk up to the doctor's office up the street from her house to pick up whatever. And I did it because you did what grandma told you to do. And I would hear her children, they were all adults, talking about the effing quack. That mama still goes to that effing quack who does supplements, who does herbs, who does remedies, who does this, who is also a medical doctor, by the way, who lineage was connected to like my lineage. So he was the best of both worlds. But that was also the very beginning of the contamination process with the medical institutions. So
I think. Go ahead.
Well, lastly, the fifth dimension is coming in so strong, they cannot buck what's waking up inside of us anymore. They can't stop it. They cannot stop it because that crystalline DNA will be fully activated by the end of 2028. And that is God. That is Christ in us.
Gosh, I hope this is right. I feel that it's changing. You know, I had an interesting background where my dad was an engineer. Ended up, by the time he retired, he was in charge of the Army Corps of Engineers for the Midwest, right? Then my mom was a Eucharistic minister, right? So she was really into that. So I have these like two extreme, both sides. Neither of them my mom was a beautiful soul. I mean, my gosh, she was. But both of them were kind of in their paradigms. And it's really a blending of both. It's not, I think where we're headed, I think if we can get ahead of this and we can capture the essence of this, AI is forcing us to. AI is going to force us to. And if we capture the essence of this, then I think we have a chance to rise above the situation that we're coming into. And I know this sounds woo-woo and out there, but it really isn't. It's changing what we value and understand how to put AI into perspective and elevate humanity differently.
Yes. Yes. And it's interesting because we've been now programmed literally to have the attention span of a gnat,
That's
which means
true.
it pulls us out of our focus. And now they've upgraded the agenda within the devices that literally keep you addicted. And it's deliberate. It's all on purpose. And that's the only reason, because the focus is about 2 seconds to 10 seconds before you get bored. And because of that reality, meaning that addiction process where it's like boom, 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 that's what's taken the heaven on earth component a little longer to get here right now, but it's getting ready to flip. Thank you. They just showed me that what is going to happen is the very people who have programmed those phones, iPads, computers to continue to keep us enslaved mentally, emotionally, etc. There's going to be a switch flipped by another group of people who would be the conscious, aware scientists
That's
who
right.
study physical, non-physical simultaneously.
It's going to come from them. Yep.
It is, and they're going to flip the switch, drop the old thing where, now if you see
It's going to
people
come
reading,
inside. Yeah.
exactly. And so once that drops, they're going to sort of be bored with the not able to be focused and then get really excited and repurposed by looking at the things they desire and the things that drive them to purpose in connection to non-physical.
Oh, I'm so
And,
glad you said that because I've been saying for a while this is going to come from the scientists and the engineers and the people inside, the creatives that are inside that are going to rise up.
the good military,
Mhm.
the good other intergalactic beings that are good ones that have been here the whole time, who are waiting for this curtain to be pulled back. And
Interesting.
I literally believe they can do that.
A quick break to share with you this wonderful product called Masterpiece. It is proven to taking out graphene oxide, aluminums, heavy metals, microplastics. They also are looking at these MAC addresses, and there's more and more research and there's studies coming out. There's 4 documentaries that are being made on their studies of how they're able to disable MAC addresses that are somehow put into people. This is amazing stuff. I highly recommend. I buy a whole box of it and I make sure my whole family has it. If you are interested in trying this and really cleaning up your body from microplastics, graphene oxide, you can also test yourself. You can get your hair tested, see what you are before and what you are after you use this for a few months. They stand behind what they're doing with tests, studies, and real results. And look for the link below where you can buy Masterpiece yourself. It'll provide you a discount, or you can go to sarahwestall.com under shop. So for those of the people, for people who are like, okay, this is just not, I don't buy this. I don't, especially, okay, let's talk about the scientists that are inside these big tech companies that are saying, this is ridiculous. I didn't do this on purpose. This is not purposeful. This is just how organically done. How would you, I mean, this gets back to my messaging, gets back to all
Yes.
sorts of subconscious stuff that's happening. But to those that are like, no, they're disconnected, they think that they're doing everything organically, how would you say to them, perhaps the world isn't quite what you think and everything that's organic isn't quite what you think because you're not necessarily in charge of everything that you do as much as you think?
How would I?
How would you expand on that concept? Because I think that's where we're going here. I think because there's okay. Let me do a better job with this. The people who are inside these companies and the military and everything, they're like, no, this is a joke. This was not. This was organic. This wasn't on purpose. I've worked in this. I know that it makes sense. This is where we're going to go organically, anyways. I mean, that's the argument. But there's a difference between that and consciously being aware of where we're going and why we're doing it.
I think, first of all, I think there's so many good people in industries that are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just, I believe they're like most people, they're programmed to believe that they just got to keep their nose to the grindstone, beat the pavement, and just pay the mortgage and the rising taxes, right? So they're mostly in survival mode. Even people who are making really good money are kind of in survival mode right now.
That's
for
right.
the first time we've ever seen in our lifetimes, right? And I feel like, now here's the answer to the question. They just showed it. Every single human that has a soul is already been percolating. God, remember those old commercials? Da 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 da. That coffee percolator commercial. And they're saying that's what's been going on for some time now. And so that any human with a soul is like something's off. It starts soft. Something's off. Something's amiss. I don't get this. Why does it operate this way? And then it'll go to the next level. As soon as they become peaceful at that new platform, so they'll go from here to here. And then some between here and the next platform is like, this doesn't feel fair. How come this is the way that it is? How come the good people are putting out this much and getting this much back, and the other people are putting out that much and getting this much back and controlling us? And remember, there's an uprising in every country in the world as we're having this conversation. Now, we all know the mainstream media is not going to show any of that, because how dare them give you an idea of what's actually really going on with people who are like, something's not right. I think our government might not be as nice as we were taught they were. And maybe there is a hidden agenda. Maybe this group is supposed to come in and take over the other group for whatever reason. What would be the reason? And so I think Catherine Austin Fitts said, there's a level of unfathomable, I can't say that word, unfathomable. Thank you. Evil, soulless beings that have controlled the power and the monies of this world for millennia, that is so evil and discorded and disconnected and diseased and polluted that our imaginations can never imagine that level of horror and debauchery. And that is being uncovered as we wake up. Thank you. I'm going to go back to this and answer the question directly. This is so amazing. Just like you have had this desire and this purpose-driven desire with a pure-hearted intention, all of those are run by purpose to remote view and via what you just shared about your mother's background and your father's background and how you came out of that, wanting to know the invisible and physical part of it, the emotional and the psychological part of it. You want the ins and outs. You're not happy just watching a TV show. You want to go backstage and see how they put it all together on the page. So you like everything from the person sitting alone at night writing out the script to the actual performance on the stage. You like everything from the beginning to the end. Thank you. They're saying humans are that way by nature. They have always been this way by nature. Humans have always known, I came from non-physical into physical. Yes, I chose this kind of effed up childhood that I thought was effed up because once I got into my human body, I forgot what my soul's purpose was. And so this is not good. This is poverty. This is bad. This is inappropriate. These things are all sucky. But I know that I picked it on a higher level. Now, what's the gift? What's the lesson? What's the purpose in it? Not to put up my middle fingers and run out of it and run away from it, but to stay in it till I learn what the highest gift is and the deepest gift is, what the intuitive intellect purpose is, and what my soul is singing to me as a person. Every human is born with that. And we've been systematically separated from that forever. And now, in the last, especially the last 10, 15, 20 years, we're coming back into it. Now, what you're going to start seeing is that awakening. And it's going to be like the I Dream a Genie energy. The switches are going to get flipped. It's already been flipped inside of most people. But if it flipped from here to here too quick, that people would go literally clinically insane. They would
It's probably
literally
true. Yeah.
lose their mind. And so these things that are going on everywhere, I've had the experience of seeing UFOs. I've seen 5 in my lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah. And one time we saw 3 at one time, the triangle shapes that I didn't know were ours. I was in the 7th grade. I didn't know they were our anti-gravity thing. I thought it was from another planet, right?
Yeah, because a lot of it's ours.
Yeah. And then an orb way, way, way away that people thought I was crazy. And senior in high school, saw it. And I was like, what is that star doing there in the middle of the day? And it went boop, boop, boop.
Wow. How high was it?
It was over near Venus.
Oh, okay.
And so it wasn't just that Venus, it was this thing near it. And so the kids that I was with, meaning I was in the rifle squad, and we were looking at it and they're like, yeah, well, it's gone now.
It was in the middle of the day. So it was weird.
Oh, yeah. And it went boop, boop, boop. And they saw it and they kept telling me I was crazy. So my stepdad, who is in Virginia, who's a surveyor who goes out in the woods pre-Lyme disease, and does surveying for all of the things. He's the person who would go in and survey so they could put in those big old telephone lines out in the middle of the country. He has a high resolution surveyor's camera. So I told Mama when I got home from school, Mama, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, Edward, you're my strange child, aren't you, son? Yes, ma'am. And then my stepdad came home, told my mom what he saw that afternoon, showed her the thing on the camera. And then Mom's like, Edward, get in here. And we both saw the identical thing at the identical time in 2 separate states.
Wow.
So that one was not ours, but the triangle ones were ours. And I've seen beings from other dimensions my entire life, even from other star systems. We all have access to it, just like that 25-year-old young man who is here to remind us of what we really are, despite what we were lied to about ourselves. So,
well, and I think it's interesting because now he's pushing science to do it, and they can't. There's just too much evidence, and they just can't ignore it anymore. And that's the beauty of it. It's changing people's ideas. It was always there. It's just for some reason now people have the ability to open their eyes and say, this has always been here. But for some reason, we wouldn't allow ourselves to look at it.
Yeah. Well, if we did, we were anti-Christian. If we did, we were an abomination. If we did, we would get run out of town.
Anti-Christian, anti-science, and you were a kook. And now people are saying, this isn't anti-Christian, this isn't anti-science, and you're not a kook. And it's being redefined. And that's what I love about it. And it can be reinterpreted to support all of our institutions. It's just, we have to look at it differently, recontextualize. And if we don't recontextualize this, I think we're in trouble with AI. I think this is what gets us past AI.
Me too, because Atlantis fell because of AI. People keep forgetting we have been in civilizations 10 times, 20 times more advanced than the one we're in. And and I don't know but a tiny bit about it, even in Egypt, the Library of Alexandria, they have texts from Atlantis. They would literally, one king would go, and as ships came in, take the books from those other country ships, take them into the library, copy them word for word, and then give them back the copied version, and they would keep the original there in the Library of Alexandria. And in there was all of these civilizations from all over the world, beings from other star systems. All of it was in there until, of course, what do? They burn it.
Well, but those books survived. They just didn't because it wasn't just one copy. There were multiple copies all around.
Yes, yes. In the mountains of Ethiopia, the Library of Alexandria, the underground cities that I know I sound crazy, not you. There's inner earth, there's underground cities, there's all of these things where more and more and more of these things are stored. We know that there's at least 55 secured underground tunnels connected to the Vatican where those teachings are also saved. Oh
There's
my goodness.
miles and miles of books and ancient writings that needs to come out.
And by the way, that is the physical proof everyday people will finally have in their hands to prove and give them an experience that, wow, we have been taught these lies. These are the books we were given, but these are the books that were, and they gave us the scraps. And now let me dive into this. The whole planet is getting ready to be so purpose, desired, driven to connect back to their true self like never before. And it's happening.
You're right. I do. There is a change, and I hope you're right. I couldn't be fast enough for me. But okay, Eddie, I got to tell people you have helped me on multiple occasions, and you've been right. Like I'll bring you something and you'll tell me, and you can say, okay, stay away from that person, or you've helped me so much. And we've talked about it. You have worked with, and I know you can't talk about what you've personally done, but you've worked with a lot of famous people, and you've been connected to people. People have no idea. You were on CNN, for God's sake, after Michael Jackson died for a reason. You have been involved with a lot of people. Can you talk a little bit more at a meta level so people don't know the names of just kind of what your background is?
Yeah, and I can feel my face. I feel my face turning red.
That's okay. That's good. That means you're humble.
I'm going back in time a little bit. When I was a little boy, I enjoyed TV. I wasn't in love with it like everybody else was. But once in a while, I get hooked into the world of a good story because I grew up in the projects and then in the trailer parks, we were poor, poor, poor. And as Abraham Hicks says, if you look only at reality, if you only look at physical reality, you can only continue to create more of the reality you're looking at instead of the reality you claim you want. And because of television, because of music, because of beauty, because of nature, despite how volatile everything was, I was able to just close my eyes and connect to the world of these other stories that were bigger. So I was having these inner experiences, intuitive intellect, my heart, mind, my gut, brain, and I would just disappear into those stories. Thank you. Now they're just saying it's the same thing they shared about you earlier. I was integrated in my left and right hemisphere simultaneously while going high and connecting up there and deep at the same time, which brought me back to center or God consciousness or whatever you want to call it. As I got older, there were people I would see on TV that I just had a connection to, just a connection. And I'll talk about some people I haven't read for. One of them, of all things, was Happy Days. Miriam Ross, who was Richie Cunningham's mother. I don't know why I always just had this feeling that one day I would meet her. Fast forward to move to Los Angeles, was helping with a thing called Women's Care Cottage for homeless women. And I won the grand prize. And the person who came up to announce the grand prize winner was Miriam Ross. And I won it. And I raised my hand and she made me come up to the front, gave me a big hug and all of that stuff. I was like, this is so crazy, because as a kid, I just had this pure connection, not a desire to meet them necessarily, but just this knowing that there was a similar something there. And Dom DeLuise, when I was in high school, did a movie called Cannonball Run with Burt Reynolds. And at the end of the movie, there were the outtakes. And Burt Reynolds kept slapping Dom DeLuise. And I grew up in a very abusive household, and it just made me furious. And I remember sitting there going, when I grow up, I'm going to meet Dom DeLuise and I'm going to tell him I think Burt Reynolds is an asshole. So when I came out to California in September of 1995, they put me on the radio. And within a matter of weeks, a family member from his family called. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting at dinner in an Italian restaurant with him and his wife, his 3 boys, and daughter-in-law. And he looked over at me and he's like, "You eat like a bird," because I was so nervous. But I never did tell him I thought Burt Reynolds was an asshole, because now I was old enough to understand how things worked.
Yeah.
But I had this connection because he was a sensitive person. And one thing led to the next. And then I don't believe in A list, B list, C list.
No, hierarchy is not real.
I don't believe in any of it. But one of my idols of all idols back in the day, because I was a dancer and a choreographer, my best friend told me less than a week before he passed, because he was scared he was going to go to hell, because he was gay, he contracted AIDS, and in the 3.5 years he was sick and dying, I was the advocate to help him understand that there's no way he was going to go to hell, even though he was raised in the church. And a week before he passed away, he said, "Hey, girl, when I die, I'm gonna set it up so you meet 3 people, so you know there's such thing as an afterlife." I was like, "Bitch, I'm the one who told you there's an afterlife." And he's like, "I know, but I'm going to set it up so you meet these 3 people." And one of them was Paula Abdul. And when I came to LA, my friend Tim, who had already passed away, popped into the Bronco we were in. My friend Barbara and Randy, who brought me out to Los Angeles, who was the general manager and program director for Star 98.7, brought me out. And he said, "Who do you want to meet when you're in town?" And this is how naive I was. I was like, "Oh my God, either Janet Jackson or Madonna or Paula Abdul." And he was like, "No, you can't make this stuff up." In that moment, a Bronco pulled in front of our Bronco, and the license plate number said Laker Girl. And that's when my friend Tim in the back was like jumping all over in the back part of the Bronco. And I was like, "Oh my God." He said, "Guess who was in my office yesterday?" I said, "Oh." He said, "Paula Abdul." He said, "Will you want to meet her?" And I was like, "Is that how it works?" He said, "We'll see." So I got to meet her. And there's 2 other people he mentioned. I've met her. And then the other one he said was Oprah. He loved Oprah. I didn't quite get it. And now I know why. So that led to lots of families and lots of celebrities and lots of people that are behind the scenes nobody even knows. And I just love what I do so much.
And you can't, that's how you started, but you can't share all of who your clients are, obviously. It's top secret, right? But I mean, it's just how you work. But
Yes.
you've worked with pretty impressive client list, and I think that people would be pretty impressed. And so I just want people to know that you're coming at it from you've seen a lot in your time frame.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but the other thing is that you okay, I gave you a person. They said, "Eddie, I just need help. I need to understand who this person is." And Stacy, our mutual friend,
Yes.
she was involved, and you just said, "Stay away." And I was like, "Why? This guy seems so charming and whatever." And it was a big deal. And then couple weeks ago, I got the bombshell on who this person really was, and you were right on. I can't share it publicly, but I'm just saying it was okay. We're dealing with famous people. We're dealing with incredible information that would never have guessed this person would have been this awful. And the fact that you were able to help me with that was pretty remarkable. And it was right on. And my first intuition was their intelligence, which they still might be.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think there could be intelligence involved here, and it was something purposely to throw people off in this industry. But the information I got afterwards was jaw dropping on what this person is doing to others. And, it's still unfolding, but you helped me with that in a way that I couldn't see myself. I thought they were an asset. I thought there was something intelligence, but I didn't see quite what you saw. And the reason I'm sharing this is that your talent and your skill is it's been refined, and you've worked at it, you probably your whole life, and you also have a skill. You were born with having that ability. Most of us have to learn how to harness it and tap into it. It's almost like a muscle that atrophies if you don't use it. You were
Oh, yeah.
born with it, and then you kept it, which is
Oh, yeah.
also rare because a lot of kids are born with it and they lose it.
Well, yeah, I kept it despite the religion, despite the all of the other things that went with it. And then it went in for a while. I just like, I can't just take it away from me. And then a few years later, after I moved and I was on my own, I realized, oh, I can direct it. I can direct it. It doesn't have to control me. And then everything
That's a
clicked.
game changer right there.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how do people follow you? How do they learn more about you?
Thank you. EddieConnor.com, and I just heard today that my website is blipping for some reason, but it's EddieConnor.com, CONNER, and I'm on Facebook, Eddie Connor Soul Intuitive, I think, and Eddie Connor Soul on Instagram. And I promise I'm going to get my Twitter thing going because they bumped me out of it, so I couldn't share our stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I think I'll get my IT person to help me with it. Yeah.
Okay. You'll get back. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still bad. But
Yes.
you'll get back. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. You're going to be back in 4 weeks, and
Yes.
just thank you for our Thrive Hour. You are the best.